Hey everybody, this is excuse me. Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another comic book spoiler review for the month of Halloween. And today I'll be covering Dr. Fate, pretty much DC's version of Doctor Strange. As a matter of fact, now think about it, I think Dr. Fate was created a little bit before Doctor Strange. Yeah, I think I got that right. Because Doctor Strange would have been created in the 60s. Uh, late 50s, early 60s, something like that. And then Dr. Fate would have been created in the 40s because he was part of the Justice Society of America. So yeah, Dr. Fate, matter of fact, yeah, like Doctor Strange would have been like the Marvel's answers to Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate would have been like the original Sorcerer Supreme. Before we get into this, please like and subscribe, share this with your friends. Let me know what your first, introduction to Dr. Fate in a DC property. Because the first time I would have seen Dr. Fate was in the Superman animated TV series where he did like a team up with Dr. Fate because Superman was dealing with some kind of supernatural entity, and since he is weak against magic, he asked for the assistance of Dr. Fate. And then the second time I seen Dr. Fate would have been in Justice League Unlimited. And of course, he popped up here and there throughout like other DC shows and movies. The other time would have been in the latter seasons of Smallville. As a matter of fact, in Justice League Unlimited, Dr. Fate was voiced by I forgot his name, but he was in the Mummy movies as crap, let me look this up because I'm blanking on everything. Uh uh Artist Bay. Um it's crap. He was the character was part of the secret order of Magi, and he was voiced by he was played by OD Farr. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but he was that character and he voiced Dr. Fate. And that always stuck with me more so than anybody else who played Dr. Fate and other stuff. Anyway, I'll get right into his powers and abilities. Now, there's been many people who carried the mantle of Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate is a mantle. The main power comes from the helmet of Nabu. This ancient being part of this ancient order, well, at least lords of order. Uh, uh, just a bit matter of fact, I'll get right into the whole entire thing with Nabu. Okay, this brief rundown here. Nabu was born during the dawn of mankind. He and the others discovered a secret of the universe that will one day become known as magic. With their almost infinite powers, Nabu and the other men and women became the Lords of Order, peacemakers obsessed with maintaining order. Soon enough, the magic the Lords contained grew too strong for their bodies, forcing them to find a new way of existing. Naboo forged a helmet and imprinted his soul onto it. Anyone to wear the helmet would be possessed by Naboo, making them a servant of order. This helmet would be known as the Helmet of Fate, and whoever wore it would take on the moniker of Dr. Fate. Okay. Trying to see. Because the main character we focus on here is Kent Nelson, who was the original wielder of the Helmet of Fate, which more often than not, anytime you see, Dr. Fate in any DC property, he's the main wielder. And there's his wife Enza, who had it for a while. In the story, there's a passing of a torch in this story to this guy named Eric. King. Okay. Count Nelson, Eric Strauss, and Linda Strauss, who was in this story. Kent Nelson, Hector Hall, Enza Kramer, Kent's wife, and currently Khalid Nassor have been like the wielders of the helmet. And of course other DC heroes have wielded the helmet at least once, like Superman one time, crap, Zatanna, I just did her story. Zatanna held it for one time. So yeah. So now let's get to the powers and abilities. All right. And this is him without the helmet. The helmet in of his own has like his own like extra set of abilities. But Kent is able to wield divine empowerment. During his lifetime, Nelson will be empowered by Naboo, both aging him while raising Kent to be at both his mental and physical peak, molding him into the spitting image of Naboo himself to be the perfect host. He can fly, elemental control, immortality, superhuman durability, enhanced intellect, of course, magic wielder. He has personal spells. As a powerful sorcerer, Nelson is capable of a plethora of spells regardless of his use of the Helmet of Fate. Some of his spells are derived from the same repertoire used by Merlin. Eldritch Blast, Photokinesis, Helm of Fate Construct. Over time, Nelson's connection to the artifacts of fate proved powerful enough for him to draw power from them without wielding them physically. Transformation, elemental control, Eldritch Blast, telepathy, energy construct creation, teleportation, telekinesis, occultism. He very knowledgeable. He has a degree in archaeology, just like his father, and that's how he came upon the Helmet of Fate and Naboo, because Naboo is kind of an ass in a way. He serves order and protects the earthly realm from magical enemies. He manipulates Kent and many other wielders to do darn near drives them insane in order to fulfill his overall goal into serving order and protecting humanity, like the ends justify the means kind of mentality. So he, in a way, manipulated scenarios. I haven't read like the origin story fully. I got the cliff notes where it took over time, but we come to understand that he manipulated situations for his father to be at the Egyptian tomb, find the helmet, trip the some traps, which at least some kind of poison gas, kills his father immediately. Then because the boy was there with him, so he had to witness all that. So in order to get out, I think the tomb was collapsing. In order to get out of that situation, he had to put on the helmet. And then, Naboo needed like a host, and he aged up the boy. He was 12 years old at the time. He aged him up very quickly so he can have a proper student and a host to combat the forces of evil. Very kind of messed up. Weaknesses, power limitation. While being among the most powerful sorcerers of his generation, Ken Nelson possessed several limitations as Dr. Fate. Dependency on the helmet. Although Ken is capable sorcerer without assistance from the helmet, Ken's power is severely undercut by it, losing the majority of his vast powers and abilities. Vulnerability to possession. Vulnerability to alien supernatural forces. Kent stated that his magic is rooted in Earth's culture and in logic. So any alien races that have their own source of magic or supernatural capabilities is a little bit more challenging for him to combat that, because he's not familiar with those. Monstrous appearance. Continued uses of magic can eventually disfigure Kent into a ghoulish appearance, requiring Naboo to help him cleanse that alteration. Power loss. Naboo's periodic restoration. His ordinary human form weakens him in power. Kent used to be afraid of heights until he got the Helmet of Fate, but he is allergic to bees. With the Helmet of Fate, precognitive negation aura. Dr. Fate, the helm makes the other people with precognition unable to see into his future. Probability manipulation negation. Kent is immune to bad luck. Superhuman strength, durability, cosmic awareness, cosmic senses. Enhanced vision, precognition, power of nature. Kent is able to channel the power of nature from a variety of reasons. He is able to either use the helm's ability to fuel his magical powers or control the elemental forces himself, such as hydrokinesis, geokinesis, aerokinesis, pyrokinesis, electrokinesis. Dr. Fate, magic and spellcasting, energy construct creation, telekinesis, teleportation, molecular reconstruction, power absorption, Eldritch Blast, energy projection, Cloak of Destiny, Amulet of Anubis. Those are his other tools. Fun fact: Kent loves peanut butter chocolate chip cookies. Just throwing it out there. Everything else is pretty much other facts is pretty much what I've stated. So I just want to get that out there. So Kent, in his own right, is probably the most powerful sorcerer in DC Comics. And of course, right now he's sharing the mantle with Khalid. Khalid's technically, if you see, at this point in time, is either one of the two. But primarily in other media, he's the in Justice Game and in the Black Adam movie, Kent Nelson's the primary one people want to use for the Dr. Fate persona. But in the comics, you'll see him and Khalid, who I think Khalid was technically created sometime around New 52, I think. But I think he's one of the few people in that era that was created to stay in main continuity that people I think actually dig. Like I when I read like certain things like Justice League Dark or any supernatural story that involves Dr. Fate, the kid is usually there, and so far as I've read, he's not bad. He just really didn't stick out as much as somebody like Kamala Khan did. And so far as being like a new character that hit the ground running and got the big support. Anyway, this story is written by J.M. DeMatteis, artist Keith Griffin. So, Kent / Nabu, or Dr. Fate, is dealing with minions of this Lord of Chaos called Typhon. Now, Typhon is in this. No, I want to state here and now, because this is rated in like late 80s. I do dig the art in maybe just Keith Griffin's art, but it's around this era when you can like well, how do I say this? It's not like you can play around with it, but I'm just saying like the drawing I really like is the pencil work and the unique uses of, I don't know, the shadow and everything like that. Everything is good to look at, and is not like, because you're going for not hyper realistic features, but it's just like, I don't know, it's hard for me to frame it as like early work type of drawings. It's, you know, it's like a decent balance of good looks for humans, but not try to do like hyper realistic kind of stuff. I don't know. Like I said, it's hard for me to put into words. I just dig the art, but for this type of story with Dr. Fate, just like with Doctor Strange, I like it because it lends itself to doing stuff weird. Because I want to see weird stuff when you're dealing with magical characters. You'll see that from time to time in the panels, but the one thing I did not, and of course it's hit and miss on a few occasions, but the one big thing is, you know, the look of Typhon and his minions. It doesn't seem, well, you can get away with the minions. They're not, they only show up at least that one time here. But as far as Typhon, he's just these guys, but just bigger. And it's just like not very imaginative in terms of a the main villain of this 4-issue story. But I kind of wish there was a little bit more imagination in terms of creating something that's supposed to be like a Lord of Chaos. But Dr. Fate is fighting Typhon, and in the battle he was taken away to a different plane of existence by the Lords of Order, who is basically telling Nabu and Kent that, you know, this ultimately won't matter, given the fact that what we know right now is just this world's ripe for chaos to envelop it, and we want to let it happen, essentially. And Naboo, it's like, what the hell, guys? It's like, that's not what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to let chaos run rampant. And the Lords of Order's logic is like, this stuff goes in cycles anyway, because sure, they can have their little moment, but from like the ashes, order will rise up and overtake them. But Naboo is like, even though Naboo takes his, fighting off, evil and chaos a little far, and the whole ends justify the means attitude, even he is like against the idea that, I'm not gonna let the earth burn, like billions of people will die. It's not like, because if they told Naboo, like, yeah, if you kill this one kid, that will prevent chaos, this big chaos monster, from entering our world, Naboo will probably consider it, because one little life against like the whole entire planet, he wouldn't hesitate. But just right out the gate, like, no, let the earth burn, because our time will come, and will come full swing. And it's like no. And then of course they chastise Naboo. It's like, yeah, you've been among humans like way too long, man, because you used to be on our side on these kind of subjects. You used to understand, but now that you relegate yourself to be amongst humans, you turn yourself into human. So while that's going on, we meet this woman named Linda and this little boy named Eric. Now, Eric used to be the son of this millionaire who turns out to be some horrible creep, possibly some kind of mobster. I'm not sure. You only see a picture of him. Linda used to be his mistress, or at least his side chick, or something like that. And Eric's mom, offed herself, not wanting to dealing with this, the other stress of living with who probably is like a very, very bad man. But she even points out, even on his deathbed, he couldn't admit to any fault. So she always wanted to leave, but she grew close with the son, and it's like, I can't leave the boy in possible foster care, or have some other horrible flunky that used to be with the who shares the same views as the dad. I can't let this kid grow up being corrupted like that. So I gonna take it upon myself to look after him. So she's taking him outside to try to play amongst the other kids, so he can just be a normal kid. And meanwhile, she has internal dialogue that it grows and grows until like it's something about this kid that I really feel something for, and it gets very gross, where she's actually having romantic feelings towards this young kid, but it is still, it'll get explained, but it's still ewy. And this kid, it seems like like one of those outsider kids, not quite fitting in. He's he's, as she puts it, he's wise beyond his years despite him being young. Then she knows, while she's sitting there monologuing in her head. Oh, by the way, another issue I have with this story, well, not just the story, it's the narration boxes. And when somebody's thinking, it's never in, you get confused or lost in the sauce of who's supposed to be thinking what. And they jumble up the colors, so it's not matching. and it takes like almost like a second go around just to understand like who's saying what. And it's that part was very annoying to me as I was reading through this. There's no consistency with that, and that's the biggest problem. But while she's going over this monologue in her head, she noticed, oh, Eric's missing. Where is he? And she's running down. It's like days when she sent out like police to look for him. Turns out, Kent showed up and he took the kid along with him. So don't worry, I'm a friend. I'm not going to hurt you. And Eric's like, yeah, I know. I had a feeling like I seen you in my dreams, and there's he sees like the laws of order in his like visions or something. Like I said, he's like a out there kid. So that's why he didn't really put up a fight or anything like that. Even though Linda's probably like a awful guardian, because the fact that she wasn't more mindful of watching a kid. Like when I was little, it was like, I really didn't feel comfortable not keeping an eye on my younger brother when he's out playing outside with other kids. Like I watch him like a hawk, and like when it's time to go, I'm carrying on, because I just did not want the idea or thought or that stress of something happened to him, somebody pick him up and run off with him or anything like that. I don't know, her parenting skills is like a way off base here. Then you meet this guy named Ben something, Stoner. Yes, his last name is Stoner. And he's a psychiatrist working in, I believe is actually Arkham Asylum. Because you see certain images of or maybe just like a generic asylum. I'm not sure. Reading it, I felt like it was Arkham Asylum. But irregardless, he's just like a kind of crazed psychiatrist who, from the start, he wanted to like. He was like a good person who cared about his patients and wanted to help them. But I guess the stress of the bulk of it kind of got to him. He just eventually snapped, and he becomes the agent for the Lord of Chaos here of Typhon. Kind of like this is Typhon's Ken Nelson here. So they make plans on, well, at least Typhon's ultimate goal is to spread chaos among the world, and working, hiding in the building of this asylum, is able to kind of like really feed off of the insanity of the people here, and you want to kind of spread it all over the world. Kent brings Eric to his hideaway, and it's kind of weird because I guess I don't know why. It's just because Nabu speaks through the helmet of fate. Here, he's actually just one giant mouth on Kent's stomach. Don't know why that is. I guess because at first it's like, oh, did like the Lords of Order take away the helmet? But no, he eventually reacquired it once he starts the merge of Eric, because that's what Nabu wants. He realized that Kent can no longer sustain his essence. He needs, because he's one of the, because Kent is actually a 12-year-old boy during like, way before WW2. And so he's been like, for a while, I had like a body of somebody in his 20s for a very long time. But now the body is like, starting to become passive prime. Don't know why he got the, well, maybe he just become, Kent's obviously a world weary person, and he's been through the ringer for so long, and he's just like a broken shell of his former self, especially after some time, a previous adventure of losing his wife Enza, who also shared the power of Dr. Fate, but she just ultimately could not handle it. But Kent suspects that Naboo has something to do with it, because she wasn't meant to have, any shared power of it. Kent just would rather have, Naboo would just rather have Kent to be the primary one, focus on the work at large, no, lip, and like, just do as I say, kind of thing. But I just like don't know why you just need, just couldn't have the helmet talking with him. Anyway, what he's, ordering Kent to do is just get Eric, because he sees Eric as his new host. Young, virile, a little bit more flexible in terms of manipulation. So just like with Kent, he quickly aged up Eric to his adult prime. So he's getting ready to prepare Eric to train him and to learn how to use his abilities and properly handle the strain of wielding somebody like Naboo, and also prepare to fight a literal lord of chaos. But in order to really like put an end to this creature, which Naboo really wants to do, he instructing, well, him and Kent are instructing to give himself over to Naboo fully, while Kent is trying to ease him into it, because this is not something like somebody, a human who's not properly prepared wouldn't be able to handle it. While Naboo is trying to quickly rush to the chase, because cut to the chase, because he want to put this creature down for good, and there's no time, because he has zero patience with anybody's BS. Just do it, don't think about it, give yourself over to me. And of course, it all goes pear-shaped. He loses, and in the process, because I guess the completion, it wasn't like the completion wasn't effective. Naboo realized, okay, I'm about to lose my power to this thing. I'm going to dip out back to Kent, leaving Eric like a heaving mess, in a fetal position, completely like, lost his mind, babbling like, I want to go home. My name is Eric Strauss. My name is Eric Strauss. That's when Stoner shows up with a cop, telling the cop, like, don't worry, officer, like, I'm a doctor. I can take him to my facility and I will give him right as rain. And here's the part where, Kent is just reminiscing about Enza and losing his father. He blames Naboo for, causing the loss of two of the most important people in his life. When his father died, Naboo kind of like, after he eased him up, kind of like completely not embrace his feelings on losing his father. He's kind of like, very robotic, very neutral on the fact that his father died before his eyes, because Naboo did not care or did not want to deal with any of the human feelings, or because there's a job to do. Just like, pretty much like put a whammy on him, like, don't worry about it. And he also blamed Naboo for the loss of Enza, because even though she also shared the power of fate, unlike Kent, she, Naboo didn't protect her mind. Possibly, he suspects. He doesn't know concrete proof, but given Naboo's track record, he wouldn't put it past Naboo to not put up any kind of safeguards in Enza's mind, and she slowly deteriorated, and eventually she lost her life. Uh, so he just kind of had up to here with everything. And meanwhile, this is going on. Stoner is hit my mic. Stoner is slowly but surely trying to, break down mentally Eric. Trying to get information from him about Naboo. But and his as well as images I was telling you about, like, the Lords of Orders, like, especially via this ritual that Stoner will do, is try to spread his influence among the building, or even further, because he mentioned about like convincing like a politicians do corrupt stuff, convincing like a man beating his wife, just trying to commit a man to jump off a building, just feeding into like the worst parts of human nature, and is slowly but surely infecting everybody. And Linda decides upon herself to like track down Eric, which she ends up leading her. I'm not sure how, I can't recall like how she ends up coming in contact with Kent, but she does. Well, I think she followed Dr. Fate because at a certain point, while Eric was in that psychiatric care, Naboo and Kent got in his mind like, hey, I need you to concentrate, trust us. And so Naboo reconnected with Eric and tries to fight off all this mental influence. That's when he begins to try to confront Dr. Stoner, but not realizing Dr. Stoner becomes the host of Lord of Chaos, Typhon. And during this battle, Typhon steals the powers of fate, severely crippling Naboo. And that's when Lynn eventually like meet up with these guys after like telling the ordeal. That's when Naboo gets chastised by the Lord of Order. It's like you're becoming human, okay? You need to chill the F out. Let this continue. It's all gonna pay out in the long run. Don't worry about it. And of course, Naboo ain't trying to hear none of that, because I'm not gonna go on that level, because we're supposed to be the Lords of Order. We should be preventing chaos, not allowing it to run rampant. So he's like, okay, screw all you guys. I'm going home. But Kent is just like, I don't care anymore at this point. But realizing Eric didn't ask for none of this, he continues for the sake of this guy. And when he sees Linda, she immediately reminds him of Enza, the way she cares for him. Here's all the battle. Oh, and this is the part where it feels so, I want to say, it's like mostly unnecessary, like at least 80% unnecessary, because Phantom Strange, who's like another like ancient being in the DC universe, who's like the good guy, but he's like the Watcher from Marvel, where he bears witness, he guides, but he rarely interferes with any kind of earthly human based kind of situations. So he calls like a meeting among Batman, Mr. Miracle, Martian Manhunter, and Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. And around this time, Guy Gardner is like the main Green Lantern. So I think he was the second Green Lantern after Hal. And I like the look of Batman in this because he's pretty much, almost all in shadow. You really don't see his face. You see like the hint of blue of his outfit, but in terms of like face, it's like always cloaked in silhouette. I think I like that. But they're called together in order to serve a particular purpose. But Phantom Stranger doesn't tell them that until the tail end of it. You see, because now that Typhon, while possessing Stoner, took possession of the majority of Fate's powers. Now he's the wielder of the helm and amulet, and so the design of him is probably like the design of Batman and design of Evil Fate is probably like the best parts out of the entire 4-issue story. So they're attempting to challenge this evil Dr. Fate because Typhon's influence is starting to become a worldly issue at this point, random acts of just utter chaos. So Batman immediately steps up, and you see Typhon just seeing this kind of like noxious gas thing, probably some acidic thing, and just like seemingly kills Batman immediately. And then Guy Gardner tries to step up to like fight back. He immediately gets killed, but it turns out, he's not really killed. Doctor Strange, not Doctor Strange, Phantom Stranger confirms for what Martian Manhunter suspects, that because when somebody dies, he get like a mental thing about us. Like, I didn't sense anything, despite what we saw. I don't sense like their actual peril. And Phantom Stranger's like, no, they ain't really dead. To Typhon, they not really like, they don't mean nothing to him. And of course, being was kind of dumb in my opinion, where Typhon, being a lord of chaos, like doesn't believe in things like love or compassion or even the truth. And it's like, when like the mind of Stoner asks like, aren't they really dead? Like, does it really matter kind of situation? It's like, what is truth? Doesn't really care. And it's like, yeah, it kind of does. If you're going against like certain members of the Justice League, or in this case I think Justice League International, it's just like you don't want any possibility of anybody challenging you. So yeah, make them dead, not just faux dead. But they were just like essentially ported away, or just like, just out my way. I really don't care about you guys. You're not really any a challenge to me. Why don't you just go with that? I'll just pour them away. I don't care. They don't offer any real challenge to me, so I don't care even like giving them the satisfaction of a death. They could have gone with that. Don't know why the writer just make us believe, oh snap, it really got serious. He killed Batman. You could lean into that and have Phantom Stranger kind of bring him back. Like, okay, this is pointless. I thought he might, he got way too powerful in a short amount of time. Could have done that, but Phantom Stranger points out to Mr. Miracle and Martian Manhunter, like, don't worry, you guys serve your purpose. The seed has been planted. So he pours them away, erases their memory of this whole entire thing. What's the point of bringing them along then? And it's like, just so you can plant some kind of seed in Stoner's mind, which, you know, Phantom Stranger essentially unlocked the care and compassion part of his brain, so that way it leaves room for, you know, the new Dr. Fate to deal with this guy. But it's like, you could have just done that. Why you had to involve Batman and the others where they pose no actual real threat to a guy like this? That part is really dumb and pointless. So now that Eric, Linda, and Kent are all together, you know, Nabu says like, okay, all except Linda have to go to the battleground and deal with Typhon once and for all, and so we can get our powers back. But Kent and Eric insisted, no, we got to bring Linda along. I was like, fine, bring her along. She doesn't really mean much. She's not really important to this overall scope of things, but she actually is important to the scope of things, because just like what happened with Kent and Enza is going to happen with Eric and Linda, because they are kind of like soulmates in a way. They're kind of, you know, soul ties or something like that. And by the way, the look of older Eric Strauss kind of makes him look like Luke Perry in the face, and I'm pretty sure that's what like maybe like the artist was thinking about when drawing him, because it's like in certain angles he looked like Luke Perry. So while Eric is stepping up to Typhon, Kent deduced that these two are tied together because they are so reminiscent to what him and Enza share together. And of course, Nabu doesn't believe that. He tried to block the soul of, or at least block Linda from connecting with Eric, but Kent managed to convince him, like, hey, are you this level of obsessed with order and control? Okay, either you let these two combined or chaos will run rampant. Which do you prefer? Do you want, you know, to be, you know, that dedicated to control everything that you will allow like the entire planet to be consumed? So Nabu was like, okay, fine. And then like the spirit of Linda combined with the spirit of Eric forms, and you know that power now, like, you know, heightened the because is a unique quality to Eric that, you know, he's so tied, has some kind of ties to, he's able to see like the Lords of Order at such a young age, and all this other stuff that he envisions is going to happen. He has some kind of magical ties. So they managed to reacquire the power of Dr. Fate, because they share like the power of a god, man, and woman makes Dr. Fate that much more powerful. Even though Nabu should have suspected that, being like a cosmically aware being. And so he goes toe to toe with Typhon. After taking the powers, Typhon just surrenders. He coughs up the corpse of Stoner, and he's dissolving away. And Typhon just tells them, it's like, look, you won this battle, the war is not over. So he kind of disappears to fight another day. But now Kent is like, okay, we managed to get a new mantle. I just want to die peacefully. And he tells like Nabu, I got one last request. What is it? Please let me go. because like he reached the age now. It's like he's way beyond past the point where he should have probably passed away. Without Naboo's power sustaining him, now he's just ready to just pass on and be with Enza. Naboo gets taken back to the realm of Lords of Order, who didn't like, even though everything panned out well, Naboo still disobeyed, and they decide to like, Naboo was like, you know what, I'm not part of you guys no more. Like, you was willing to let this entire planet suffer, and it's kind of like ironic because, like, unlike the other Lords of Order, Naboo was willing to budge for the sake of the planet, and if it meant, having Linda involved, it's just a small price to pay because it all panned out. But somebody like the Lords of Order would not have budged the way Naboo budged, or at least allow some level of flexibility. Because the Lords of Order is kind of like the old Jedi Council. They're unwavering in, because their ability to see the Force is weakened kind of situation. They got high on their own hubris kind of situation. That's how I see it. Now, after Linda and Eric burying Kent, Naboo's spirit fell to Earth and he inhabited the dead body of Kent. And now he's like, he's telling them, call me Kent. And this is like a weird kind of, I don't know what was on with GM when, doing this, because it was the late 80s, but even back then, I imagine it was very ewy, where I'm glad they didn't go too far into it, but it's just like Linda's confessing her love to Eric. She didn't feel right doing it when he was a kid, but now he's an adult. Now we can pursue this. And of course, Eric's like, I'm not there yet. Because he understands, but he's not immediately locking lips. It's not like, Luke and Leia kind of situation where we did not know kind of situation. But it's like, I'm going to need a minute to, process all that was going on kind of situation. So, like, just give me that grace. And then, of course, Naboo possessing the body of Kent, is pretty much like their, human former god, well, possessing a human, but former, godlike entity is down there kind of mentor during this process while they're holding the mantle of Naboo, or Dr. Fate. And that was GM DeMatteis' Dr. Fate story. Like I said, it's a pretty good story. Aside from the confusing narration boxes, the confusing, relationship between Linda and Eric, or at least disgusting. The design of Typhon was lazy, and the pointless use of certain Justice League members that didn't really need to be there. Phantom Stranger could have just came in by himself and seeded this level of doubt to allow the window for Eric and Linda to do their thing and reacquire the because with that, because while Naboo was weak and allowed him to, Typhon to steal, because he was bickering and, they, mentally, Naboo and Eric was not really linked. There was doubt with them, which allowed that mental fortitude to be weakened, allowing the Typhon to siphon off most of Naboo's power. But now the same flip effect happened with Phantom Stranger, who allowed Stoner to remember what it was like to care, which shattered the mental fortitude to allow Eric and Naboo to reacquire the Dr. Fate abilities. I love the design of evil Dr. Fate. That was very creative. Was like just like a silhouette of just monster teeth and stuff like that combined with the helmet. Well, besides all that, it's just like, man, it's still a great story, and the art for the most part has been awesome. Good classic DC artwork. It kind of reminds me of Killing Joke art, and I imagine the artist might have been the same person. What was that? The Killing Joke. No, not the same artist, but it kind of feels like in that same realm. In certain spots. But anyway, and of course, like Dr. Fate, at least Ken Nelson, was created by Gardner Fox and Howard Sherman. But let me know in the comments below what you think of the character of Dr. Fate. I got one more comic for the Halloween month. I want to try to review it before the month is over, and it'll be covering Morbius, a 5-issue story of Morbius. It's Morbin time, you guys, so look forward to that. And in a few minutes I have another movie review of Scream 6. I've been holding off from watching Scream 6 until this month. I was gonna do like Scream 2 this month. I feel like, no, I'm gonna really want to watch Scream 6, and I don't want to have to wait such a long time to, because I watched Scream 2 through 5 a couple of times over the years, a couple of times each over the years. This is my first time watching Scream 6, and I really wanted to check it out, so I did. So now I'm going to talk about it, so look forward to that pretty soon. And yeah, like, subscribe, share this with your friends, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace. Oh, and by the way, I've been posting my Marvel Insomniac Spider-Man 2 gameplay up on my YouTube channel, so check those out. I'm usually live on Twitch when I play this, but days later I upload them to YouTube. So whenever you want to watch me live, follow me in the links in the description below, like my Twitch or Twitter handles. You'll know when I'm live. And yeah, I'll see y'all later. Peace.